And Mayor de Blasio is at the Staten Island Borough Hall speaking about how the city is preparing for this weekend's winter weather. We've been listening to him. Let's go ahead and check back in.
There's always the potential that storms will change. Sometimes we've been lucky, and storms that were coming right at us moved out to sea. Other times we were told we weren't going to get much, and we ended up with something a lot worse. So there's an element of unpredictability. For everyday New Yorkers, the way to deal with that is to keep constantly informed. And thankfully nowadays there's a lot of ways to do that. For all of us preparing, we take a very conservative approach. We assume the worst, not the best. And when we look at this storm coming, we assume all sorts of potential here, and we have to be ready for anything that Mother Nature throws at us. Deputy Mayor Anglin, our Deputy Mayor for Operations, will go into some more detail, as will our Sanitation Commissioner, but a few things to remember. First of all, please everyone, exercise caution Saturday and Sunday, and even into the Monday morning commute. We don't know exactly what we're going to be dealing with here, but we do know it's a real storm. We do know we're going to have very cold temperatures, a lot of potential for icing. The best thing that people can do is get whatever you have to get done during the day Saturday. So this is a very clear statement I want to make to all New Yorkers. I want to see people off the streets when it gets to Saturday evening and Saturday night to the maximum extent possible, based on what we know now. Again, that could change, but based on what we know now, get everything you need to get done during the morning and the afternoon Saturday. Stay off the streets Saturday evening, Saturday night. Conditions could get really difficult, and we know, we've seen this in other storms. The men and women at the Sanitation Department can do extraordinary things if there's not traffic blocking them. So their work is going to begin as soon as snow accumulates on Saturday evening. Let's get out of their way and help them do their work. Obviously, it's going to be tough driving conditions, potentially dangerous driving conditions. Better to make other plans so you're not out on the road. Now, we do again expect this storm at this moment to hit Saturday evening, going into the overnight Saturday. That means that Sunday's going to be a mess based on what we know now. Expect it to be very hard to get around on Sunday morning. A lot of ice. There could be some flooding as well. So we want people to assume when you're making your plans, again, Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon are the safe zone where you can get done what you need to get done. Do not count on a Saturday evening, Saturday night. Do not count on Sunday, because we don't know what we're dealing with yet. Just get things done Saturday, stay home Sunday to the maximum extent possible. We do expect a potential of downed trees. That happens with a lot of storms. This is a situation we need to be ready for that, and we're putting measures in place. But we all know, even when we're prepared, a downed tree takes time to address. So be prepared for those kind of situations, which could knock out some roads. I always say to people, check on your fellow New Yorkers, check on your neighbors, check on the elderly in particular. Anyone in your life, anyone in your building you know is older, might need help. Anyone who is disabled might need help. One of the #1 things that New Yorkers do is look out for each other. And that always, always helps. If you see someone who's out in the cold and needs help, if it is a situation that is not dire, you can call 311 and they will get help. If it's an emergency situation, of course, call 911. If you think someone's life is in danger, call 911. Both the NYPD and our Department of Homeless Services will be available to immediately address any situation with anyone on the street. Anyone who does not have heat or hot water, if you don't have heat or hot water today, call right now to 311 so we can try and get you help now and Saturday before all this hits. So don't hesitate if you don't have heat or hot water. At any point, make that call as quickly as possible to 311. Just want to say a little bit in Spanish before turning to my colleagues. Dos tormentas se dirigen hacia nuestra ciudad este fin de semana. Por favor, tengan cuidado al salir y no salgan a menos que sea necesario. El pronóstico del clima puede cambiar en las próximas horas y mañana. Así que hagan todo lo posible para mantenerse informados. With that, I'm going to turn to Deputy Mayor Anglin. She has been in regular touch with National Weather Service and all of our agencies as we prepare. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. So let me give you a little update on the storm. We just got off the phone with the National Weather Service about half an hour ago. Just so you know, right now, the city is under a storm watch. That may change later on today, where we might actually go to a storm warning based on the forecast later on this afternoon. As the mayor said, this is going to be an unpredictable storm. It's also a storm that is carrying a lot of moisture. And when we see storms with moisture, that gives us potential for snow, sleet, rain, and ice, and that's what we're expecting in this storm. A lot of everything. Normally say a little bit of everything, we're expecting a lot of everything. Let me give you some of the details. Overall amounts of snow right now we're expecting for this storm, but once again, the storm can change, is 3 to 6 inches citywide, 3 in the southern parts of the city, closer to 6 in the northern parts. National Weather Service is forecasting a worst case scenario right now, 6 to 9 inches across the city. Let me give you a little bit information on timing. Light snow will begin, as the mayor said, tomorrow between 5 and 7 p.m. And then starting at 7 p.m. from 7 to 10, we'll see moderate to heavy snow. And within that 3 hours, that is where the bulk of this 3 to 6 inches of snow will fall. So you will see heavy snow during that time period. After that, when we get to between 10 p.m. and midnight, it will start to change over to sleet and freezing rain, once again making dangerous conditions because we now have ice on top of snow. And then in the morning, Sunday morning, between 2 and 3 a.m., we're once again probably going to see it shift between rain and freezing rain back and forth. So obviously there's a lot of moisture and there's a lot of ice and dangerous conditions within this storm. The one thing that, as the mayor alluded to, that I am particularly concerned about, and we are particularly concerned about, is the drastic change in temperature that you're going to see during the duration of this storm. When we start tomorrow midday, on Saturday, we will be roughly mid-30s, maybe a little higher than that. But as we go through the evening and go through the morning, by the time you get to Sunday morning, you're going to be in probably the 20s, and then later on in the day, you're going to be in the teens, and overnight Monday morning, you could even be in single digits. What that means is the moisture that is on the roads will likely freeze. We can see tree limbs freezing and breaking down to power lines. Sidewalks will be very messy. We will, Catherine Garcia will do her best to keep the roads salted, but it will be very messy and very dangerous. That's why the mayor is saying, please stay off the roads. In addition, as we get into late Sunday, we'll have another situation is that the winds are going to pick up dramatically. So we're going to have icy conditions on limbs and power lines and all over, and then the winds are going to pick up. Sustained winds will be 20 to 25 miles per hour Sunday afternoon and forward, gusting to 40 miles per hour. So that's a dangerous situation that everyone needs to be aware of, and that's why we're asking, please stay off the roads. We will keep everyone updated as the storm goes through. We will be talking with the National Weather Service, but we're going to be looking at down trees, down power lines, and icy conditions. So it's going to be very important that everyone let us do our job to make sure we can clear the roads and have everything back together by the time Tuesday morning rush hour starts.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Deputy Mayor. And I want to turn to our Sanitation Commissioner, Catherine Garcia. She's going to talk about the preparations that are being put in place by her agency.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So obviously we're taking this storm very, very seriously. We are splitting the shift. We will be completely split by tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. and we will stay in that formation probably at least through early part of next week. We will have available at the start of the event nearly 700 spreaders and another 1,600 plows, and we anticipate that those will be primarily needed on Saturday night for the plows, but then the spreaders are probably going to keep running well through Monday, because the only thing that we really have that's going to attack ice is going to be the salt. I would say again that the weather is going to change. If you leave your house and it's snowing, it could be sleeting and raining by the time you get to your destination, and it will happen very, very fast. These transitions of the temperature are incredibly steep. We are going to be joined by other city agencies who will also bring in equipment for the direction of sanitation at DOT, DEP, and the Parks Department. I do want to stress that we do need support from New Yorkers in terms of business owners or property owners to make sure that you are also salting your sidewalks so that we don't have injuries to pedestrians. We are completely coordinated through OEM and the Joint Transportation team to make sure that we understand any of the triggers that could happen. And this is going to be a very dangerous storm with a lot of different variables, and so we are preparing for the worst. And anything that is still on the ground Monday is likely to stay around because of how cold it will actually be.
Thank you very much, Commissioner. So let's do some media questions now. We'll take them on the storm and then, do anything else that's on people's minds. I want to affirm up front there will be another briefing by the agencies at 5 p.m. tonight at OEM. So this is the information we have now. Obviously, anything that changes in the meantime that's very important we'll put out, but you can expect a formal briefing by the agencies at 5 p.m. Let me see if there's media questions on the storm situation. Anything on the storm? Yes.
How much is it helping? I mean, clearly it's going to be a bad storm.
Right.
How much is it helping that at least it's on a weekend?
It's very, very important. Very important.
And despite that, what's your greatest concern for this weekend storm?
Anytime you're talking about cold temperatures like this, you have to be worried about people who are out for any reason. Just people going about their normal business. The cold can really catch up with them very quickly. That's why people have to be reminded, if you go outside, do it for as little time as possible. That worries me a lot. The wind situation, too. The possibility of down trees, down power lines, that can be very unpredictable, very sudden, obviously. But to your first point, the fact that this is happening in the middle of a weekend and then we get Monday off on top of that to work with, that in a tough situation, that certainly gives us a major advantage.
Sir, I have a couple of questions. First of all, are you still going to Maine?
No, I'm going to cancel that trip. I'll postpone it, go another point.
Because
of this situation.
Because, does that have anything to do with the fact that, in November, because that's...
No, Marcia, I've been at this for half a decade. We have handled a wide variety of storms. I always want to say thank you to my colleagues, and I particularly praise the men and women of the Sanitation Department who, in the biggest blizzard in New York City history that happened on our watch, got this city up and running in just over a day. So the folks up here do some really, really good work. I've always said if there's something here that demands my attention, I change my plans accordingly.
So you want to be hands-on?
I always am hands-on in storms. You've been out, maybe you haven't been out there, but other people have been out there with me during storms. I tend to get very physical during storms. I have tremendous shoveling skills.
This is the first storm since the one that we saw, not the storm, but the one that we saw in November. What guarantees can you give New Yorkers that we're not, they're not going to see kind of the mismanagement that took place?
I respectfully, I've said this before, I'll say it again, and people can ask me the same question 100 times, I'll keep answering 100 times. That was a freak storm by definition, what we experienced that time. And where this city ended up in a horrible situation was because the George Washington Bridge went out. That just has not happened before. That said, we learned from it for sure. But I just reject the underlying concept. It was very painful for people who were involved. I, too, was stuck in traffic for a long time. I know what it feels like. But the problem wasn't that people weren't ready. The problem was we believed we were dealing with a storm that was going to be much smaller. And the one thing that is for sure is we now have decided to take a stance where what the National Weather Service tells us is only an indication to us. We are going to add a lot more on top of it in terms of our assumptions because we have to be very, very conservative. And we obviously are going to over-communicate with people. I think I've been willing to say for sure there were mistakes, and one of them was the lack of communication, but I think the lack of communication was directly connected to the fact that we thought we were going to be dealing with a few inches of snow in a normal situation. What we're doing now is exemplary of the approach we'll take. And we've done that, when we knew a big storm was a big storm was coming, this is exactly what we would do. Early on, tell people, please change your habits, please make plans, stay off the roads. So we're going to be doing that now more and more and being more and more conservative. Because the good thing about New Yorkers is they listen. And we saw, especially with the biggest storm in our history, we were projecting to people early on, get off the roads, and they did. And that's part of why sanitation did such an extraordinary job. So we're here to tell people, take this one seriously, get off the roads, stay safe. Yeah.
Given the fact that you're predicting down trees and down power lines,
Yes.
is there any communication with Con Ed about getting extra crews here just in case we need to restore power?
Yeah, there certainly is communication. That's the whole concept of why we have emergency management, is that kind of communication. I want to caution that the notion of extra crews and all is not a limitless idea. It's a very fair question, but in a situation where you have a lot of trees go down and a lot of wires go down, it still takes a lot of time to get them back up. So it's not like they have tons of crews hanging around who can do it so easily. If either of you want to speak to that, I'm happy to, but I'm happy to have you come up.
I'm happy to.
Or Laura, you want to start?
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, we will be opening up, our situation room is open right now. We'll be opening our emergency operations center sometime tomorrow afternoon. But we've been in constant contact with Con Edison. As a matter of fact, Deputy Mayor Anglin was talking to them earlier today. They have extra crews coming in. They're aware of the potential for down tree. You get down tree, a lot of the city has overhead lines, and that causes those lines to come down. So they have extra crews available and extra equipment available. But they'll be with us in our emergency operations center also.
I mean, the reason I asked that question is because a lot of times when you have a storm like this, they bring in extra crews, they position them just in case so that they can be quicker in terms of dealing.
And that's what they're doing. And they'll have a representative at the Emergency Operations Center, and they are pre-deploying assets as they think appropriate.
Okay, let me see if there's anything else on the storm or anything else. We can take a few more. Going once. Yeah, go ahead.
Are we off?
Yeah, sure.
How much, if any, give is there in your school diversity plan, Mayor? Even some supporters of your intent to desegregate are saying that the plan should be open at least to revision. Is it? And if so, how much?
So there's a couple different parts of it. When it comes to what's happening in individual districts, that's being done with the Community Education Council in that district. They're literally the originators of the plan. That's a body elected by parents, and we work with them. So right there's a constant dialogue happening at the local level, and so far the 3 districts, District 1, 3, and 15, came to a decision they thought made sense for their community. We agreed. When it comes to issues like school screening, we're making some changes, and we're
We have been listening to Mayor de Blasio and other city officials explain New York City is now under a storm watch. Officials calling this weekend's snow an unpredictable storm. They're anticipating 3 to 6 inches of snow citywide, at worst case 6 to 9 inches. There's also going to be an extreme swing in temperatures causing ice on the roads. Strong winds, 20 to 25 miles per hour with gusts of 40 miles per hour. So down trees are expected. Residents are asked to get everything done during the day on Saturday and be off of the road by 7 p.m. and stay off the road into Sunday and possibly even into Monday, so crews can plow and clear debris as soon as possible. There's also going to be another update that's going to be happening at 5 o'clock tonight. Of course, we will be bringing you all of that information. Right now, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll be joining CBS 2 News at noon. See you then.